The elevator to -1. I'm the night guard of an old half-abandoned hospital. In winter, the hallways smell of alcohol and the basements reek of dampness. At 3 a.m., silence settles over everything, over the empty beds, the radiology rooms, even the emergency lights that flicker like blinking eyes. The first time I saw it was on a Thursday. The West Wing elevator door shivered, and the glowing red numbers on the panel skipped from 2 to 1. -1. We don't have such a floor. There's a basement, sure, but it's labeled B. I thought the circuit had glitched. But then I heard something scratching, like a syringe tip dragging across steel. To calm myself, I sipped my coffee and stared at the CCTV monitors. The elevator camera showed grainy footage, a dirty mirror, a gray floor, and the thin red glow of the display. Empty. But a minute later, the elevator doors slid open with no one pressing the button. The inside light flickered. A cold breath of air spilled out of the cabin, raising goosebumps on my arms. I hate admitting fear. They say night guards should be stoned. I walked over and stood in front of the elevator. The cabin floor had dark streaks, like someone had walked across it with wet shoes. I pressed B. The doors didn't close. Instead, the one button, which didn't even exist on the panel, flashed on the display. It was as if the machine knew a place I didn't. The doors whispered shut, and before I realized it, I had stepped inside. The moment I entered, a sharp chemical smell hit me. Phenol mixed with something I couldn't name, but I had smelled it before. Somewhere. The elevator jolted, then descended, but not the usual way. It felt like the cabin had slipped off its rails and was sliding down a living vertical throat. With every meter, the light grew colder, whiter. Then it stopped. Ding! The doors slid open. In front of me was a narrow corridor tiled with green, cracked ceramics older than the hospital itself. The ceiling lights buzzed, scattering patches of shadow and glare. Signs on the walls read, "Isolation Ward, Article 1974. 1974? 1974? Our hospital was built in 1982. I lifted my walkie-talkie. Control? Do you copy? Only static. Then came the sound of slow, dragging footsteps, like armor scraping the floor. I stepped out. The elevator doors stayed half closed behind me, waiting. The wet footprints on the floor shimmered under the sick light. I followed them. The first door had a round window. Inside was a metal bed covered with a gray blanket. The blanket bore the imprint of a body, yet the body wasn't there. On the wall, written in red marker, "Don't touch. The wound will wake it." My hand hovered near the handle, but then a faint screech echoed from farther down the hall. A shadow slid past the last lamp in the corridor. Thin, human-shaped, but wrong, like a burned image on ruined film. The dragging sound came again, closer. My heart thudded. I turned back toward the elevator. Its doors were still half open. I could run. But my cursed curiosity whispered, "Just see what it is." The wet footprints led to another door. Its round window was fogged. Fog from inside. I wiped it with my sleeve. Nothing at first. Then, an eye. Not monstrous, just human. Staring calm, ancient. Beneath it, a cheek blurred by condensation. No mouth. Suddenly the eye rolled upward as if watching something above it. Then, bang! Something dripped from the door frame onto my wrist. Hot. Not water. Not blood. Something nameless. The sound came again. Behind me, I turned. The corridor was empty, but the second-to-last light flickered. Two shadows overlapped, one short, one taller. My breath caught. I hurried back toward the elevator. The walkie-talkie in my grip hissed. Then a whisper, not through the device but from the ceiling itself. "Don't touch. The wound will wake it." The elevator doors welcomed me like a trap. I stepped inside and jabbed close. But before my finger touched it, I noticed a new button below the panel, a tiny red dot, like it was part of the wall itself. I don't know why, but I pressed it. The door slammed shut. The elevator lurched and dropped, deeper, not higher. The lamp buzzed, breathing like an iron lung. The numbers blinked red, 2, 3, 4. With each level, the air grew colder, the chemicals stench sharper. My breath fogged the mirror. Words formed in the condensation. Letters traced by an invisible hand. "Don't touch." It stopped. Ding. The doors opened. This time, no corridor. A massive dome-shaped hall, flooded in blinding white light. In the center, a rusty hospital bed. Above it, a giant surgical lamp with 6 lenses, one smeared with something brown. The bed held a covered figure. The sheet was stained, soaked in a circular patch like the wet marks I had seen on the elevator floor. I pulled the blanket back. Not human. A body like transparent fabric layered over empty space. Veins without blood. At its chest, a jar filled with black liquid. At its forehead, a clean circular hole. Next to it, a faded label, Specimen -1, do not awaken with pain stimulus. The thing exhaled, not from lungs but from an old black telephone under the bed. It didn't ring. I picked it up. Silence. Then my own voice echoed back, delayed. "Does anyone hear me?" Along with breathing so close it seemed to come from behind my ear. I dropped it. The surgical lamp flared on. My shadow stretched on the wall. But in my shadow, a perfect round hole appeared in the forehead. I touched my own. Nothing. But on the floor, drops of that nameless liquid began to spread. I bolted back to the elevator. The cabin was waiting, doors open like jaws. I slammed lobby. The door shut. We ascended. 4, 3, 2, 1. B1 ding. The lobby. Familiar plastic chairs, the vending machine. The wall clock read 3:13. Frozen dot on the CCTV, the West Wing elevator was static snow. My phone's selfie camera showed my forehead intact. But in the reflection of the fluorescent light above, for just a moment there was a hole there. My fingers slid right through it. Inside the reflection, not my real head. Behind me came the sound again. The needle scratch across steel. The West Wing elevator stood open. One above the door, a fresh paper label, "Don't touch. The wound will wake it." That night, nobody came. The clock stayed 3:13. And every Thursday since, the same thing repeats. I don't go down anymore. But sometimes, strangers take that elevator. They never return. Only wet footprints remain across the lobby floor, and a round stain on one of the blue plastic chairs. If you ever pass through our hospital and see the number 1 glowing red, please don't press it. The wound will wake it.